Perfect. So that was an awesome video put together by Leverage Your Beverage team. Thank you, Myrna. So I will kick things off. Again, my name is Tiffany Johnson. I have been in the AEC industry for 6 years, and I have been a member of SMPS Arizona for 4. And Stephanie, I'll kick it off to you. Stephanie Munoz, I'm sorry.
Okay. This is going to be fun with the 2 Stephanies here. Stephanie Munoz. I've been in the industry for over 23 years, and I've been an SMPS member for 19 years.
And then Christy Bigelow.
I'm muted because I have a dog that howls. I'm Christy Bigelow. I've been in the industry, Deirdre's laughing because she knows. I've been in the industry for 37 years, and I've been a member of SMPS for 17 of those years.
And then Colleen Casera.
Good morning, everyone. I have been in the industry for 15 years and a member of SMPS for 13.
Miss Barbara Shuck.
Hi, everyone. Barbara Shuck. I've been in the industry for 26 years and SMPS for 25.
Nice. And Grenée Saluch.
Hello, good morning. I have been, in the industry for 17 years, and I've been an SMPS member for 15 years.
Miss Stephanie Hertzberg.
Morning, everybody. I've been in the AEC industry for a little over 13 years and a member of SMPS for 10 years.
Awesome. Deirdre Gilmore.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I've been in the industry 20 years and an SMPS member for 20 years as well. Signed up my first day.
Wow. Miss Suzanne Nelson.
Good morning, everyone. I have been in the industry for 22 years and an SMPS member for 9 years.
Awesome. Amy Burback.
Good morning. I've been in the industry for 13 years and a member for 12.
Nice. And last but not least, Miss Ann Siebert.
The old one. Hi everyone. I'm Ann Seibert, and I have been in the industry for 25 years and a member of SMPS for 20 years.
Wow. Well, thank you guys all again for joining us, and I'm sure there's going to be so much knowledge that you're all going to bestow upon us. Kicking things off, I know you guys have been in the industry for a long time, myself for 6 years. How did you guys all get started in the industry? And more importantly, how did you decide to become president, Deirdre? Was it just kind of something that just kind of like happened by stance? Did someone kind of like nominate you?
Well, so I got into the industry by total happenstance. I applied for a job as a technical writer for an engineering firm, and within the first week they signed me up for SMPS. The first day said, you have to do marketing too, go learn this job. So I did. But when it came to being president, I was intentional about that because I saw SMPS as a way to work on, I don't want to use the word soft skills, but all my skills in a safe place outside of my place of work. And so for me, I wanted to be president because I wanted to learn better leadership skills. And I knew that SMPS was going to put me through a bunch of training. I was going to, go through trial by fire by being president. And my hope was to come out the other side with a whole new set of leadership skills that would serve me in the future.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think when I decided to take on this journey, it's like, what's the next challenge for me in the industry, in my career? And this was absolutely it. Yeah. And then always just try to make sure that I'm the best, what's something I can take away from the experience. And what was something that you took away from your experience as president?
Wow. Okay. So I think Really, what I learned more than anything, I learned how to listen better, which is something I'm still working on all the time. I learned to stay in my lane quite a bit. You know, when you've got so much going on, you've got to stay in your position and let other people do their jobs and trust them to do their jobs, or the presidency will kill you. And so I really learned to be a little less of a control freak. I'm still not great about it, but I did learn how to empower others. And I think lastly, the most important thing I learned was have a good plan, but be flexible, because things are going to change on you on a dime. And so those are probably my 3 biggest takeaways.
Absolutely. And what about you? What was your biggest takeaway from your time as president? Ann Seibert?
Sorry.
You're fine.
My biggest takeaway as president. I think for me, it was just to leverage the people around me. You are constantly humbled by all of the knowledge around you and ability around you. And kind of like what Deirdre's saying is, if you just empower them to run with their ideas and their talents, it's such a success, and it's really amazing. And so I think for me, as my time as president, it was so fun just having a team of people, and for me, the whole time was a fun time. So I look back with fondness.
That's good to hear. What about you, Amy? What was your biggest takeaway? I think when I was really sinking my teeth into SMPS, you were the president at that time. What was something that you took away from your year?
Oh, gosh, there was, I mean, I have to ditto so many things that other presidents have already said, but I think one of the biggest takeaways was actually just being able to see the organization from that level and all of the inner workings of it as a business, and the amazing talent that we have as membership, and just appreciating it at a different level. And for me, it was also a great opportunity to work on those skills of delegating and empowering others. And, you know, at the end of 1 year, you leave and, you know, you move on to the past president, and others kind of take and move up into those roles. And so how can you empower them to sort of take that place, right? And be prepared for those positions. So it was one of the best experiences of my career for sure. So I'm really privileged to have had the opportunity.
That's good. And you said that you look back on your year with such fond memories. What was the one thing that you would do differently if you had the opportunity?
I wish I had more time to get to know the new members. I think it's hard when you're president, because you're coming in and you're juggling all the different balls and committees and whatnot. And so I wish I had taken the time to just, every time there was a new member.
Oh, I think she's frozen. At least she looks great. Oh, no. Oh, you're back. Welcome. Okay, good.
The internet's not very good here. But yeah, I wish I had time to chat with all of the new members, and just individually one-on-one, maybe more coffees, more breakfast, things like that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've struggled with this year is that all of a sudden it was going, you know, pretty well, and then COVID happened. You're just like, no. So if I could do anything differently, I definitely wish there was not a pandemic during my year. But, you know, adversity, I think, definitely makes us grow as people, you know, so trying to be optimistic about it. Yeah. What is one thing you would change about SMPS Arizona, Ann?
Oh gosh. One thing that I would change about SMPS Arizona. I wish that we had the ability to integrate the other locations, so like Flagstaff and Tucson, so north south. I'd love to see more involvement from those areas, but it's really hard geographically just to get people to go. But now, right, with COVID and everything being so virtual, there's no reason why we couldn't include those professionals in our organization in Phoenix. So I think I would love to see it expand like that.
Absolutely. Especially with COVID happening, like you said, there's so much more opportunity for us to do these virtual learnings, and that's so exciting. Deirdre, you're kind of an expert on giving webinars, and I've attended a few for Tank Girl. What's something that you would change about SMPS or SMPS Arizona? Would you also kind of want to incorporate the virtual aspect to offer our members, you know, additional services like virtual learning?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the few things that has been a benefit is the ability to open up these types of opportunities across our state and across chapters, because I think different chapters have different strengths. You know, having spent a lot of time across the country the past few years in different chapters, you know, every chapter has something that makes itself unique. And I think what makes our chapter unique is this talent of marketing people that is really desperate for great education. You know, our chapter thrives on education. And I love that. I think the thing that I find, especially in the past, I'm going to say what it's been about 5 years that's challenging is this competition we have with another organization where somehow in our region, business development has decided it's outside of SMPS and that we don't offer that training. And I would love to change that perception here in the Valley, that SMPS is for marketing and business development, and everything I learned I got from this association. And so I feel like it's kind of a shame that our people are almost getting pulled in two different directions, and we don't have that pull of both sides of the fence in our chapter now that we used to have. We used to have really strong BD and really strong marketing in our chapter, and now I feel like our chapter is almost just marketing, and we're missing a whole side of the puzzle with that, you know, and I find that very challenging to see in our chapter.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me personally, as someone who started in the industry as doing both business development and marketing, there was always that kind of pull of trying to find that balance. And so I've had my BD Guild industry or organization as well as SMPS. So I agree with you. I think trying to find that balance for our professionals who are going more towards business development versus the more entry-level marketers who are just what they're focusing on. But I completely agree. Finding that balance is key, but when we do find it, it'll be great.
Right.
Yeah. Barbara, Shuck, for you, you had the opportunity to be a member of SMPS Arizona as well as other chapters. What do you think is the biggest takeaway or something we could change about the SMPS Arizona chapter or enhance it?
Yeah, so I was actually first a member in Wichita, and they did not have a chapter at all. So my first experience with SMPS was I literally got a magazine, and this was kind of before all of the internet stuff. And the value was going to it wasn't Build Business, but it was the national conference. And then have also been involved in the Nebraska chapter here as well. And when I was president of Arizona, we were less than 100 people. And you can remember those days, and Suzanne, you're probably around then too. And it was just a whole different experience because we just weren't as big. And you know, we met the university club and very infrequently even max that out, you know. And so I think one of the things that I see for Arizona is that you guys have changed with the times and economic development and growth in Arizona. And you are leaders, or the chapter people are leaders in the industry. And so however the chapter can continue this growth and this footprint and the impact that you have on the built environment and the whole economic development of the Valley is an opportunity for you to bring people together, like Deirdre, what you're talking about, and impact your firms so that they are successful. And it will likely bring other people from across the state together. And through the virtual world, you can be a stronger impact in the AEC industry across the country because Phoenix is one of the best markets there is. And you can provide education, training, resources through SMPS across the country. So you guys are in I say you because I'm technically a different kind of member for Arizona anymore, but it's a wonderful chapter. You have amazing members and people who have given their heart and soul to the organization, and you can strengthen that locally and expand it regionally, and very, very successful opportunities ahead.
Yeah. So you talk about your time here in Arizona. If you could write a book about your experience in SMPS, what would you title it, Barbara?
So, Grenade, I'm going to kind of steal a book that I know is kind of near and dear to your heart, but Oh, the Places You'll Go. And and literally up in an organization, in the companies that I've been with, I've had some great opportunities to improve my career growth over time, as well as the opportunities to expand my network and connections, starting in Arizona with expanding into different regions as well as across the country. And literally because of that, I think I've been to, I should probably sit down and figure it out sometime, but visited lots and lots of other chapters, seeing how they operate, seeing the similarities, the areas where Arizona is just amazing because of the strength of the people that you have in the chapter. It's just been a expansion opportunity to meet people that I might not have otherwise met. And it all started with really stepping up into the PE position in the chapter to being able to serve at the society levels and being part of a voice of a great industry. So it's been a lot of places, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of wonderful, wonderful friendships.
Yeah, I love that. I think when I first started in the industry, everyone I knew, except for one, we're all still here. We're all really great friends. They are truly become my network of resources when I need it. And for that, I'm forever grateful. Yeah. Grenade, what about you? If you could name your experience in S&PS a book, title it, what would you title your book?
I think I'm thinking about this, and it'd probably be like, wait, what just happened? Like you sign up for the presidency, and it's not a 1-year term; it's 3 years. You know, you serve as that, interim. You're president, and then you're past president. And so I was really, really lucky because when I started this, Christy Bigelow was the past president, Deirdre was president at that time. So I got to kind of work with them to develop this really solid strategic plan. And I think that's what you have to remember is that when you sign up for the presidency, you are not going to accomplish everything in 1 year. It's completely impossible. So you need to make sure that your past president, your current president, and you as incoming president are all on the same page, and you're working together to develop your goals and your objectives, because it's going to take 3 years plus just to accomplish those. And I was super lucky because the year that I served as president, we got Outstanding Large Chapter of the Year in Striving for Excellence, and that never would have happened without Colleen, without Christy, without Deirdre, without all of those people that were there ahead of me that kind of laid the path down. So I think that's the biggest thing is that 1 year will fly by in a minute. Like you think when you go to PLS, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the longest year of my life. And it's not. It just goes way too quick. So I guess that's the thing I recommend is if you're thinking about it or if you want to be a presidency, start lining up now and start getting together with those people that you trust and that you want to be, in business together, because it's going to take all of you to really, make the chapter great.
Mm-hmm. And kind of piggybacking off of that, Grenade, how has your time at S&PS kind of helped your career? You're now the CEO of Concord General Contracting. You've worked your way up to that. How has S&PS helped you in your career?
Everything. Just from the moment that I even got in the industry, I didn't know, you don't learn about AEC in college. Like what is that? I started out as an engineering firm. I didn't even know what they did. So S&PS was kind of like the home. But when I really started getting involved in S&PS was when I started at Dibble with Stephanie Munoz, and she was a fabulous mentor and just really stress, like get involved in S&PS, get involved in committees. These people are going to be your allies. They're going to be your support system. And they have been. To this day, as I, became the CEO, I would never be where I am today if it weren't for S&PS to, I would say, make mistakes to learn what not to do and what to do at your career. But we're all still going to make mistakes. But that's what's great about it. And even I, as the marketing department, whenever we hire someone at Concord, like you're in S&PS, your involvement, the way you want to get involved is, your kind of your, I think, choice. You know, if you want to be on a committee or if you want to be super active, if you want to be president someday, I completely support that. If you don't, totally support that too. But you need this society. You need the education that it brings. You need the network that it brings. And I'm talking about the network outside of Arizona too. I know so many people that I can call on if I have a problem, even today as CEO, that will be happy to help me. And so when you think about SNPS, that's why I always tell people, don't think about just in Arizona. Think about this, you know, national network that you get of thousands of people. And that is just priceless when you're in BD and when you're in marketing, from an education standpoint, from a network standpoint.
Yeah, I think that's great info to share. You mentioned that Stephanie, you guys work together at Dibble. Stephanie, how has SNPS kind of helped you professionally? Were you in charge of hiring fellow SNPSers? How has it helped your career?
Sure, that's a great question. As I look upon all these presidents up here, I can pick 3 of the faces who actually have worked with me alongside with me over at Dibble, and many others who I've worked alongside with through partnerships. And having the network and the relationships in place that SNPS has afforded has been just tremendous as far as the professional opportunities that present themselves, as well as the opportunities to hire. You know, we've got a network of individuals of all different types, from business development professionals to marketing professionals and the hybrids in between. And having that network within the organization and having that pool of resources, we've got an opening or we need to fill a position, it's a great place to be able to tap your network, not only to find the right candidate, but to also go, oh, who would be a good fit for my company? You've got a network of other individuals. You know, I could pick up the phone at any point in time and say, you know, Deirdre, who's out there that might be a good fit culturally for the company? And this is the type of skill sets that I'm looking for. And Deirdre would have a network that maybe I didn't have, but because of the SNPS connection, I was able to just pick up the phone and, you know, make that connection.
Yeah, I think that's great. Deirdre, what is something that you would say to past presidents or people who want to be presidents as a way to kind of keep us engaged? I think that when I think of my term before presidency, you were, I think, were a strong influence, and we had a really great conversation last year at Build Business. You kind of really ignited my jumpstart into my my presidency year. What's a piece of advice you could give for someone like myself, who's a current president but outgoing, and then someone like Brad, who is the incoming president? What's a good piece of advice you could give to us?
To keep yourself engaged or to keep us old people engaged?
Myself engaged, you know, as an outgoing president,
right.
And to help support Brad and the presidents who follow him.
Yeah, so I think one of the best things this chapter did, and I believe we did it in Colleen's year, was to create the Past Presidents Advisory Board. And we used that group to do special projects, because as you know, when you're president, you can maybe achieve one thing, and it's hard to just keep things going. And so in Colleen's year, we said, you know, we really want to recognize people, so we're going to do an awards program, and we kind of tapped that group to start that. And so I would say, maybe give yourself a break for at least a month or 2 afterwards, because you're going to need it. Like, you need to just take a break for yourself, and Brad kind of needs that time to jump in and get his feet going, right? And it's hard to do when that other person's still there a little bit, right? And so I think all of us past presidents can probably say we did all step back a bit and let the next person do their thing. But once you're ready to re-engage, go to that president and say, what's something special I can work on? What's a blind spot for you that I can cover for you? Or, hey, I know when I was president, this was one area that I just wish I could get to more and couldn't. Do you want me to keep an eye on that for you? So, for example, Christy and I worked quite a bit that way. You know, when I came into presidency, Christy knew my blind spots and she was there on them all the time. And Grenade was looking towards the future. And then the same thing when Grenade transitioned over, I'm like, okay, here's what I can do for you. And I feel like we kind of had a really good synergy from Stephanie through Grenade of doing that. And I think that really helped us get to that outstanding chapter of the year, was having that past president's back, because you know, no one else knows what they're going through more intimately than you do.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you mentioned that you, Grenade, and Christy kind of had this trifecta, and you guys were able to kind of focus on what had happened before, and Grenade was able to kind of focus on the future. Grenade, how were you able to kind of set the path moving forward for the president that followed after you, and kind of keep that momentum of that you guys had kind of rallied up?
I think going from the, going into the past president seat, I think just making sure that we understand like what that strategic plan was when we put it in place and how we can build on it. So I think there was a lot of conversation between Cricket and I, and Cricket had wonderful ideas as far as what she wanted to do. And what she did was she took, what we had already established and just kind of built on it and changed some things, because what we had put into place didn't work all the time. So she just worked on things and putting her flair on it. We had created a brand, kind of the new SMPS Arizona brand, underneath, I think, was it Colleen or Christy? I don't know. I can't, I'm like, I can't even remember.
I was the
all
fool
like,
that took that one on.
Yeah, something, it happens sometime. And
my pain project. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and Cricket took that and just kind of molded it because that wasn't a focus of mine. So when you think about it, the first thing you have to do is think about, yourself and what you want to accomplish in the presidency. And each person has something, like Deirdre just said, the brand was her pain project. And so we all had like a special project that we really, really wanted to put into play. And so I think that's what we did is we had this solid strategic plan, and then each president just kind of put their touch on it and mark on it. And that's how it has evolved over time. And it continues to evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I could have, and it's kind of like hindsight now, something I wish I would have focused more on, of course, was setting Brad up and our chapter up to be more of an inclusive chapter for BD professionals and marketing professionals, and also the diversity aspect as well. When you're just living life, you don't necessarily think about making sure that everyone feels inclusive, and that's something that I wish now that I would have focused on more in my year. Suzanne, how do you think that our chapter can kind of focus on diversity and not make it, a focal point, but definitely make it something of talking about, a topic of discussion?
I was thinking about this, and I was on LinkedIn the other day and I saw a great quote, and it said that being there isn't the same as belonging there. So when you show up at these events, do you feel like you belong? And is there someone kind of helping you along, or are you just standing in a corner? And so it's really important, I think, especially at SMPS, because a lot of people are new to the industry when they come in and don't know a lot of people. I know for me, that's how I first got engaged with SMPS. I didn't know anything about the industry. Are we pulling them in? Are we making them feel comfortable? Do they feel like they belong? We're all very, we're creatures of habit. We see our friends, we go and we talk to our friends, and we forget about that person that has never been to an event before. So I think pulling those people in and making sure that they feel a part of it, you will, find that they will want to be more involved on a larger scale.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that I want to do as a past president is kind of, is kind of make sure that I am that first person, kind of like a hospitality, if you will, you know what I mean? When I go to, even if it's not an SMPS event, any event, and being more friendly, being more social, and not, like you said, sticking to the same faces and names of people that I know, but, someone that I don't know, so that they can feel inclusive. Yeah. What about you, Emmy? What are some ideas or ways that we can kind of incorporate inclusivity and diversity in our chapter?
Yeah, I absolutely love what Suzanne said. That's key, and it actually goes along with what I was thinking and to be more intentional about reaching out to people and getting them involved. So over the years, we've all kind of been known for being a sorority, kind of having that feel. So it kind of goes along the same lines of being inclusive. I mean, are we exclusive or inclusive, and being intentional about who we are and making sure people belong and reaching out to people we feel can bring some talent and some diversity and some new ideas and reach out and engage them, be more intentional about that. So, I think it's a great opportunity for us to reach out. We have so many new members, and what are we doing to get them involved, right? Are we being intentional about inviting them to coffee or inviting them to be part of a committee? So I think it really goes along with, just making that effort.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because like I said earlier, I never expected a pandemic to kind of come in and take over my SMPS year. It's been challenging to say the least, but luckily I've had my board and my leadership team to kind of pull me through it. Stephanie, I think I recall someone telling me that you were the president during the last recession. How did that kind of shift your presidency year? Was there any advice you gave to the president after you? And what can you say for someone like Brad, who is going into this, wearing a mask and virtual learning, being a virtual president, if you will?
Absolutely. When I saw that question, I was like, me. So it wasn't just the recession. I mean, it was all about the recession leading up to my presidency as well. So the two presidents prior to me, because of the market and everything, had job transitions and moved and things like that. And so they all sort of were not as present as you'd like your president to be, especially when you're going to be, learning from them as the future president. So it was really challenging coming from, I was not in the industry a long time, so I really didn't have that network or anything. And what was so important for me was having a board that was really strong and I could rely on and bounce ideas off of and everything. I know Colleen and I worked really closely together just to make sure that we just kept that continuity. And at the time, we were losing members rapidly. It was very, very tough times for the membership. And so our focus was really like, we wanted to submit for awards and do all this stuff. And we were like, you know what, we just need to focus on getting members, providing value to the membership and making sure we're connecting with every single new member that we get and existing members to make sure that they understand the value. A lot of it was actually reaching out to senior leadership within firms to talk about SMPS. And so they understood the value that it was being provided for, those people that they were making an investment for. So, I mean, I think it's really important to stay true to kind of the core values of SMPS and make sure that you're delivering on those, but then also providing a great forum for people to learn and develop, just as SMPS has done for many, many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned that you guys were losing members rapidly. Did anyone on your board or on your leadership team have to step in and do multiple roles, or were you able to kind of get in more leadership, more people to fill those spaces?
So I don't recall our board specifically. It was just the presidents leading up to our board. So we didn't have that past president role that were really, those were the ones that we kind of lost. But everybody who was committed was really great. Christy was amazing. She'd be like, because everybody was fairly new, and she'd be like, wait, no, we can't do that. We did, here's how this works. And then you'd be like, oh, okay, that makes tons of sense. I didn't even realize that. So it was great to have that. And we were able to recruit people to be on committees. But again, it's a challenge when you're in a, pandemic or recession, because you have to provide value to your company. And so it's hard to say, hey, I'm going to be at this SMPS meeting. And your company's like, well, how does that bring value to us? And so I think that's really important to make sure that you tie that back to the company and have that reciprocal value from SMPS. And then you're going to keep getting people who are interested in being on committees and things like that. But that's the important piece, a connection that you need to make.
Yeah, I know when I first joined SMPS, one of the huge things is how can I provide value for my firm? So at that time, my firm, I was fairly new to the industry and to the firm overall. I knew 6 months down the line, they were looking to redo the website. I knew a little bit, so I joined SMPS and I was website chair. It wasn't the same platform, but I knew that at least saying like, I can do websites, that they would trust me a little bit. And luckily the website turned out great for the firm. And for SMPS, Stephanie, what other roles were you in prior to becoming SMPS? What other leadership roles did you serve in, the president?
So I was on the events committee for a while, which was because I've always been on the business development side. I never had a marketing role per se. And so for me, you know, going back to that value piece, it was about the events committee. I felt like, hey, I need to call people. I need to get them to participate in events, and it created value for me. I think I was on the membership committee for a while. Yeah, and then went into president. So I was only in SMPS from 2007 to 2010 when I became president. So I was pretty quick to get in and get into that role.
Yeah,
which
sounds like
probably
sounds like
just
my
out of
path.
necessity.
Yeah.
They were like, we need a warm body.
That's funny. Colleen, you have a huge staff, or at least 3 additional members, including yourself, who are members of SMPS. How are they able to provide value to Ryan, you know what I mean, while they serve their role in SMPS on their various committees?
Well, I think it's been already said before, you know, as Deirdre had mentioned, that you really need to become active in SMPS and engage in those committees in order to find the deepest value for your membership in SMPS. And it's a really great place to practice your skills and to get yourself involved in things that you may not be involved with at work, or do the same kind of thing you're doing on a day-to-day basis in your job, but practice or try something new. So yeah, we are all SMPS members, and I think that's a great benefit to Ryan.
Absolutely. And what other roles were you in prior to becoming the president, Colleen?
Prior to becoming president, I was kind of like Stephanie Hertzberg. I was not in SMPS for too terribly long before she maybe pulled me a little bit into the president-elect role. But over the years, I've been newsletter chair, media chair, publicity director, and then after presidency was involved in the awards committee and launching that effort for us, as well as being treasurer for a couple years on the board again.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had a short trajectory in SMPS, and somehow I was roped into it, and here I am, serving at a panel with you lovely ladies. Do you guys have any other words of wisdom or advice that you can share with our members if they're interested in becoming a president one day, or even serving on a leadership position if they don't want to be president?
Do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do
so
it.
I guess I can share a quick story. You know, like Colleen and Stephanie and probably many others who are on the screen, my trajectory, couple of steps in the organization, you know, started out with the events committee, and then before long I found myself tapped by my predecessor, Anne was going into presidency. I was sponsorship chair, and then before I know it, she was calling me up, wrangling me in, lassoing me into the president-elect role, and I didn't see what she saw in me at the time. I had lacked confidence. I didn't think I had enough experience. I didn't think I had enough years in the industry, but she saw something in me that I didn't. And with the positive encouragement, I am so grateful that I had the opportunity, and I jumped in and surrounded myself with some great mentors that we have in this organization. And I think, you know, looking at all these faces up here, I would encourage all of those folks who are joining us today to reach out to any of the past presidents and use us as mentors in your career. Use us as your sounding board. If you've got a difficult situation, or you need some advice, or you just want to make connections, we're all here. And that network proved to be invaluable in so many different ways. So I guess that would be my closing piece of advice for everyone today.
I have a different side of the Anne story, because Anne's the one that sucked me in as well. She reached out and she was like, hey, I have this new role and I think you'd be great for it. And she totally sucked me in. And I think that that's one thing I would say, as you're looking to grow your leadership skills, look for people that may not be just like you, but that you admire something in them, and ask them to play with you, right? Be on my board, be on my committee. Can you help me do this thing? Because I think, like Stephanie, we all kind of lack that confidence. We're kind of like, oh, I'm just a fraud. I don't know why anybody wants me to do this thing. And I think that being asked is the biggest compliment, and it's also the biggest confidence builder. So Anne, I totally appreciate that you looked at me all those years ago and said, hey, this is a future leader, because that really did spark the confidence.
Yeah, I would just
Well,
add
thank you.
to, oh, sorry. You know, I think the great thing about SMPS is, and you know, coming from the business development side, and I know there's obviously other organizations that are competing for that business development experience. You know, I think that people don't necessarily understand or give credit to what SMPS offers to someone on the business development side. It's such a more holistic way of looking at business development when you have a network of people that are all ends of the spectrum, and you can understand what goes into the marketing side all the way to client acquisition. And it's really important to have that broad understanding. And I look at these people on the panel with me today, and it's like, you know, every one of them I could call and say, hey, help me out in this, or what do you think of this, or I'm transitioning my career, whatever it may be. And every one of them would be like, hey, let's do this, you know, let's talk about it and do it. And then the other piece of it, the more practical, pragmatic piece would be, it's actually a stepping stone. So in your life, when you get all this training and understanding of how being on a board works. And so when you look for that next board position in your life, you have something on your resume to say, hey, I kind of get how parliamentary procedure works. I know how to run a committee. I know these things. And now I can take it and maybe be on a different board of directors that I'm interested in and want to help on a philanthropic side or whatever it might be. So it's really important for that career continuum.
SMPS is something I was kind of picking up, was that a lot of us have been asked by people before us to get involved. SMPS is an organization where your member value doesn't really happen until you get involved. And then once you get involved, you meet people, you develop skills, you expand your network, you do teaming opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise have had. And while it's true at the local level, and you know, all I can say is get involved somehow, serve on a committee, find something, look at something that you don't know how to do and use it as a training experience, or bring some strength that you have to a position and add some value that way. Expand your local network. And it's the same thing at other levels, to raise your hand, to look at some of those volunteer opportunities, ask people who you may see on the SMPS website, hey, is there something I can do to help? There's both the society as well as the foundation. And so part of that is raising your hand and then talking with all of y'all, all of us, to be able to say, what else can we do? And you'll find that it kind of, SMPS grows as your career does, so that you're never done with you're never done with SMPS. And there's just a huge world of opportunities outside of Arizona. There's the region, there's other chapters. And so it's an organization that grows with you as your career grows. And the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it, personally as well as professionally.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Is there any other closing remarks that you guys have that you want to share? Are there any other questions from our attendees? I think I've followed up with all of them.
I would just like to encourage anyone who is interested in becoming a president, or, you know, something I said resonated with you. If you'd like to chat, please connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'm sure I speak for everyone here. You know, we're happy to assist you on this journey.
Yeah.
Anyone coming up to Flagstaff is welcome to have coffee with me.
It's much cooler up there. I'll come.
It is.
Come on up.
Okay, well, if we don't have anything else, I do want to say thank you guys, all of the panelists and our attendees, for attending today. If you guys are interested in joining SMPS on the leadership level, or you want to serve in any position, please do reach out to Brad. He is the incoming president, or myself. I will type in Brad's email, or Brad, you can type in your email in the comments section. And feel free to reach out to him. Like all of the presidents have said, we're always here for questions, to help you out in any way possible that we can. I think being on leadership, that's what we like to do. You know what I mean? We want to help serve our chapter, help serve our members in any way possible that we can. We're here.